Welcome to our exploration of profound questions surrounding the relationship between Jesus and John the Baptist. In this video, we delve into the mysteries of faith, doubt, and discipleship, examining pivotal moments in their interaction as recorded in the Gospel narratives. Step back in time to the tumultuous era of Jesus and John the Baptist, where faith, politics, and prophecy intersected in dramatic fashion. In this captivating exploration, we journey through the pivotal moments of their relationship, from the confines of John's imprisonment to the poignant exchange between master and disciple, and ultimately, to the tragic culmination of John's story. Join us as we unravel the complexities of their bond, shedding light on the profound impact they had on each other's lives and the broader narrative of salvation history. Amidst the interplay between Jesus and John the Baptist, many questions concerning their relationship still linger. We shall be unraveling some of these intriguing questions, which include: why Jesus did not intervene to save John, why John sent his disciples to inquire about Jesus' identity, whether John was offended at Jesus, the deeper meaning behind Jesus' declaration, "Blessed are they who are not offended at me." The first question we shall unravel: was John the Baptist angry with Jesus when he sent his disciples to question if Jesus was the prophet who is to come? The Gospels don't explicitly state that John the Baptist was angry with Jesus when he sent his disciples to question if Jesus was the prophet. However, there's an indication in Matthew chapter 11 verse 2 to 6, and similar passages in Luke chapter 7 verse 18 to 23, that John may have been uncertain about Jesus' identity at that moment. John the Baptist, while imprisoned, sent his disciples to ask Jesus, "Are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else?" This question suggests that John may have been seeking confirmation or clarification about Jesus' identity and his role as the Messiah. Many feels that John did this because he was angry about Jesus not saving him from prison. It doesn't necessarily imply anger, but rather a moment of doubt or uncertainty that required clarification. Jesus responds to John's disciples by pointing to his works and fulfillment of prophecy as evidence of his identity as the Messiah. He tells them to report back to John what they have seen and heard. This exchange serves as a moment for John to receive reassurance and affirmation about Jesus' mission. It's important to note that John the Baptist and Jesus had a close relationship, with John baptizing Jesus and acknowledging him as the Lamb of God, John chapter 1 verse 29 to 34. So while there might have been a moment of uncertainty or questioning on John's part, it doesn't necessarily indicate anger or hostility toward Jesus. Before we move on to the next question, please support this channel by hitting the subscribe button. Thanks for your kind support. The next question is: why did John question the identity of Jesus when he was the one that was Jesus' forerunner and also baptized Jesus? John the Baptist's questioning of Jesus' identity, despite baptizing him and being his forerunner, can be understood in several ways. 1. Context of imprisonment. At the time John sent his disciples to question Jesus, he was imprisoned by Herod Antipas, Matthew chapter 14 verse 3-12. His circumstances may have led him to reflect on his own ministry and the role of the Messiah in ways that prompted questions or doubts. 2. John's expectations versus reality. John may have had certain expectations about the Messiah's actions or role that Jesus didn't seem to fulfill at that moment. John's understanding of the Messiah might have been influenced by traditional Jewish expectations of a powerful, conquering king, rather than Jesus' emphasis on spiritual transformation and redemption. Many in John's time anticipated a powerful political leader who would overthrow Roman rule and establish a kingdom on earth. Jesus, however, came as a humble servant, focused on spiritual liberation and the kingdom of God. 3. Doubt and uncertainty. John the Baptist was human, subject to moments of doubt and uncertainty like anyone else. His circumstances, imprisonment and impending execution, may have led him to question whether Jesus was indeed the Messiah. Especially as Jesus' ministry didn't align with John's expectations of the Messiah's role, such as bringing about political liberation and political freedom to the Jews. John, like many other Jews, expected Jesus to reign as earthly king of the Jews, take over rulership from the Romans and bring judgment against the oppressive Roman authorities. 4. Confirmation for his disciples. John's question could have been a way to provide his disciples with an opportunity to see and hear firsthand from Jesus about his identity and mission. As John knew his ministry has ended, it might have been a teaching moment for John's disciples to recognize Jesus as the awaited Messiah. 5. Foretelling for the people. John's question and Jesus' response also serve a larger narrative purpose in the Gospels, highlighting Jesus' identity and mission for the benefit of the people who were witnessing these events. In summary, John's questioning of Jesus' identity doesn't negate his role as Jesus' forerunner or the significance of his baptism of Jesus. Instead, it reflects the complexity of human emotions, the context of John's situation, and the larger narrative purposes of the Gospels. The next key question is, why did Jesus leave the city on hearing that John had been beheaded? When Jesus heard about the death of John the Baptist, he withdrew to a solitary place. Matthew chapter 14 verse 13. Jesus' action was not out of fear of being killed. There are several reasons why Jesus might have chosen to leave the city upon hearing this news. 1. Grief and sorrow. Jesus had a close relationship with John the Baptist, who was not only his forerunner but also a respected prophet. Hearing about John's brutal death likely caused Jesus deep grief and sorrow. Like anyone mourning the loss of a loved one, Jesus may have needed time alone to process his emotions and pray. 2. Respect for John's memory. Leaving the city could have been a gesture of respect for John and his memory. By withdrawing to a solitary place, Jesus may have wanted to honor John's life and ministry without distraction or interruption. 3. Avoiding conflict and danger. John's execution by Herod Antipas could have raised concerns about Jesus' own safety. Herod's actions demonstrated his willingness to silence those who challenged his authority. Jesus may have decided to withdraw to avoid potential conflict or danger, both for himself and for his disciples. 4. Reflection and prayer. Withdrawal to a solitary place was a common practice for Jesus when he sought solitude for prayer and communion with God. In this moment of grief and loss, Jesus may have desired uninterrupted time to pray and seek guidance from his heavenly Father. Overall, Jesus' decision to leave the city upon hearing about John the Baptist's death likely stemmed from a combination of grief, respect, concern for safety, and a desire for solitude and prayer. Another very critical question we need to address is, why did Jesus not save John the Baptist? The question of why Jesus did not intervene to save John the Baptist from execution is complex and touches upon theological and historical considerations. Let's look at this in different contexts. 1. Respecting human choices. Throughout his ministry, Jesus operated within the framework of human free will. He respected the decisions and actions of individuals, even if they led to negative consequences. John the Baptist's imprisonment and execution were the result of political and personal decisions made by Herod Antipas and others. While Jesus had the power to perform miracles, he did not typically intervene in situations where human choices and consequences were at play. In addition, Jesus was more focused on life after death than life on earth. He told his disciples in Matthew 24 verse 9, "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake." 2. Fulfillment of prophecy. John the Baptist's death was a fulfillment of Old Testament prophecies, such as those found in Malachi chapter 3 verse 1 and Isaiah chapter 40 verse 3, which spoke of a messenger preparing the way for the Lord. John's martyrdom was probably part of God's plan and served a larger purpose in the unfolding narrative of salvation history. 3. Jesus' mission. Jesus' primary mission was to bring salvation and redemption to humanity through his death and resurrection. While he performed many miracles and acts of compassion during his ministry, his ultimate focus was on spiritual rather than temporal salvation. Saving John from physical harm may not have aligned with the larger spiritual mission Jesus came to fulfill. 4. Significance of martyrdom. John the Baptist's martyrdom has been interpreted as a powerful testimony to his faith and dedication to God's truth. His willingness to suffer and die for his beliefs exemplified the cost of discipleship and served as an inspiration to early Christians facing persecution. In summary, Jesus' decision not to save John the Baptist from execution can be understood within the broader context of theological principles, including respect for human free will, fulfillment of prophecy, the focus of Jesus' mission, and the significance of martyrdom in Christian theology. The last puzzle we will address is, what does Jesus mean when he said, "Blessed are they who are not offended at me"? Did he perceive that John was angry with him? When Jesus said, "Blessed is anyone who is not offended because of me," Matthew chapter 11 verse 6, he was speaking in response to John the Baptist's disciples, who had been sent to inquire whether Jesus was the expected Messiah. Jesus was affirming those who would not be offended or stumble in their faith because of him. In this context, offended can be understood as stumbling or faltering in one's faith or belief due to Jesus' actions or teachings not aligning with one's expectations. Jesus was acknowledging that some people might struggle with doubts or questions about him, especially when their expectations of the Messiah differed from his mission and message. Regarding John the Baptist, while the Gospels don't explicitly state that he was angry with Jesus, there's an indication that he may have had doubts or uncertainties about Jesus' identity and mission at that moment. John's question to Jesus, "Are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else?" suggests that he was seeking clarification or confirmation about Jesus' role as the Messiah. Jesus' statement could be interpreted as a gentle reassurance to John and others who might have similar doubts, reminding them that true blessing comes from remaining faithful to him, even when faced with challenges or uncertainties. It's less about perceiving John's anger and more about addressing any potential stumbling blocks to faith that people might encounter in their relationship with him. Teaching us that following Jesus is not a bed of roses. Christians should be prepared to be hated, persecuted, killed for the gospel's sake. But he that endures to the end shall be saved. Jesus couldn't be angry with John because it's worth noting that Jesus responded to John's inquiry with comments indicating his recognition of John's role as a prophet, saying there has not risen anyone greater than John the Baptist, who Jesus also said was more than just a prophet. As we conclude our journey through these profound questions, we're reminded of the complexities inherent in the relationship between Jesus and John the Baptist. Their interaction serves as a rich tapestry of faith, doubt, and ultimately, unwavering commitment to the divine purpose. May our exploration deepen our understanding of the dynamic, inspire us to grapple with our own doubts and questions, and ultimately lead us to a deeper, more resilient faith in the One. Thanks for watching. We love to hear from you. Please drop your comment or opinion about this video and don't forget to subscribe.